Since the early 19th century, when industry became the new American religion, hundreds of thousands of immigrants from Central and Eastern Europe set sail for America, chasing dreams of a better life, free from poverty and war. New York was the most important gateway to this brave new world. For the next 200 years, the wave of migration never ceased. If you could make it in New York, you could make it anywhere. Join us as we explore the stories of Polish immigrants who shaped the city and found their place in its ever-evolving landscape. Watch the Polish Tales.
My name is Agatha Woldan. I am Polish who lives in the United States. I came to the United States first time in 1989. I was very young, in the middle of my law school in Poland. I was not exactly sure what I'm supposed to achieve in the United States. It was really just to run away from Poland. My parents came here when I was already here. Like 2 years later, unfortunately, my dad passed away 1 year after arriving. My life became a little bit complicated. I had a baby. I met my future husband, and because he had huge business in Poland, we ended moving back to Poland. So I moved back to Poland in 1993, and I went back to school. Unfortunately, my marriage started deteriorating. That was very sad because second time I left Poland in 1999, practically almost 2000, just because my mom, she lived in the United States. Practically, she was my closest person. I had no one in Poland to protect me from domestic violence. And there was police report. And just to be clear, because there was very often that kind of bias that probably the woman is either from like an educated, poor, pathological environment, drinking, not at all, not at all. My ex-husband, very good looking, well educated, very well off. Police was called, I had to protect my children. A long story short, Polish legal system did not step in and did not protect me. So in the middle of my divorce, I went back to United States. I have to admit that when I spoke with women from organizations which are helping domestic violence victims, I was welcome, I was supported, I was embraced, and I was like really start feeling that my fear, my complaints, my all anxiety, that was not invented how I was told by Polish judge who told me if I would not provoke my husband, he would never hit me. That also gave me idea what I want to do with my life. I was lucky, and I have to admit, that was like a form, that was in certain way privilege. I applied to graduate school, and 6 months later, I started social graduate school at Woldan University. I have 2 children. My first son is from my relationship in the United States, and my second child was from my ex-husband, and he was born in Poland. And even if I was trying to take with me my both children, and unfortunately, After a long discussion with school psychologist, with my therapist, there was no other option. My older son was sent to my mom, and I never forgot it. He was 7 years old, and he traveled with this little, like a name on this, on his chest to New York, where my mom, she picked him at the airport, and my other son, which was like custody, there was like an international custody battle if my ex-husband was American. He was awarded custody, physical custody of our son. Visitation was allowed only in Poland. So that was like a 10 years out of my life, that I have like a very bleak memory what I was doing. Besides that, I was going to school. I graduated from school. So I was looking for a job, and one of my jobs was like offered. There was a social worker in the hospital. After 2 years, I moved to hospital, Mount Sinai, one of the oldest hospital. I was neurology, neurosurgery, social worker, and that's really, I learned how to be humble about life. Pandemic was something that was on many levels for healthcare workers was very frustrating and upsetting because we had the feelings how this is going to end. Unfortunately, preparation was extremely poor. The hospital, our hospital, does like could open many beds to accept patients. My role was, I think, I just don't want to even say there was like my role was literally to set up video conferences with families whose loved ones are dying, to say like a final goodbye. So that was one of my roles, and that was horrible. I was working one weekend, and there was code blue when someone's heart stops, and there was like a team, a rapid response team is running to resuscitate patient, and I never forgot, there was just when COVID started, it was official, we have COVID. And there was 12 rapid response in the hospital in one day. And I just want to tell you, in the normal circumstances, rapid response is like a once every 2 weeks. It's a very rare situation. And none of those patients survived. This evening, my husband picked me up, and I was hysterically crying. And I said, I don't know how we're going to manage. I cannot imagine. People just like dropping like flies. I don't know if I am able to go through this. There was such a fear, what is going to happen? There was such an unknown. And that was like being like a first hand to see this, that, hey, I'm in New York, where there is like a hospitals, doctors, advanced medicine, and we are completely powerless to treat those patients. And I never forgot when vaccine was available. I was literally vaccinated on third day because I was like a front worker, and I was crying. I was really so touched. I was so grateful. So based on like what I was able to observe, we just have to remember, United States, that's a very unequal society. So there are super rich people, or not even very rich, people who are like well-off, comfortable, who left the city, rented houses, Connecticut, somewhere in the middle of nowhere. They moved with their children, and there was the rest of us, like a medical profession, like services, or any other people who were not who did not have this luxury that they could leave the city and be somewhere safe. So the people who stayed in the city they were, most of people I experienced, they were supportive. And I remember all this like food deliveries, shopping deliveries, all these people that generously always tipped, respected. Sometimes I witness in a public place this argument, who was wearing mask, not wearing mask. But overall, I think that city show huge solidarity, similar like after Sandy. After Sandy, I think that later on, when the restriction change, that was like a more tension. But initially, this empty New York, when we were confined to the places, besides people who really have to go to work, I think the people were rather supportive. I think that was very unfortunate because this is a super big city, and there was some hospitals, they serve very poor population. This poor I'm saying poor, underprivileged people who have to go to work, who cannot stop working to support their families. So they're at higher risk, no matter what. I am Polish. I was born in Poland, and I feel as a Polish. And you ask me if I am proud that I am Polish. I don't know. I feel like I feel New Yorker. I feel that I am not judged. I know that sounds maybe like absurd. I was in my school in Poland. I was the only redhead, so I always felt stigmatized. And in New York, I am hey, no one even noticed that I am redhead. Sometimes someone say, "Oh, you're redhead. Are you Irish now?" So I feel a little bit like a citizen of the world that feel comfortable in many places, but I don't know. It's just also because of my family. My family is very diverse, and I just want to be it's hard to put with one place, but if anything, the most is New York. It's my place in the world.